Boom, we're live. Boom, we're live. Well, welcome to another edition of Life is People. And today I want to really kind of concentrate. We were talking last night in private about how we could go down many rabbit holes and discuss many things. But I really wanted to concentrate today's kind of episode really on Operation Secret Santa. So before we get into that, I just want to sort of hand it over to you. How you doing today, my friend?
Pretty good, Tim. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm looking forward to this. It's a great chance to be able to reach a wider audience and let more people know a few more things about what Operation Secret Santa actually entails.
Well, that seems a very good place to start. So I'm going to ask you the very first question. What is Secret Santa, Operation Secret Santa?
Well, we put together. We've got a couple groups together. One on Facebook, one on Minds. We have a Facebook event, as well as a couple blurbs on YouTube with a new slideshow that Tyranny en Masse put together. But in a nutshell, if I can get it right here, just concise form broken down, it's a worldwide online Christmas charity telethon of sorts, really, that's going to be running the course of about 10 days. And we're hoping to hand things off from one podcaster to the next as the world turns from one time zone to the next. So what we're doing here, and it looks like you're one of the newest additions, people that we've managed to pick up here, hopefully, and to help join in on things. But each podcaster will be responsible for a 2 to 3 hour show, and then plug and promote kind of as a lead in to the whoever it is that they've got lined up coming on next to take things over and produce their segment for that day.
Okay, so that's given me a very kind of a great overview. So I mean, let's start with a few basic questions there. You said it's sort of like a 10-day operation, and it obviously starts, well, I'd imagine later today at some point in the world. So for people, let's start from the angle of people maybe want to listen, where or just take part as a passive perception. Where can they tune in or listen to some of these podcasts, and how can someone who's maybe listening get involved?
Well, we're going to be, it's all done through the web. And as I was saying, we have the Facebook and Mind groups put together, but it's largely YouTube is what we're working with for the time being. Although there might be even maybe a Twitch account or two fired up. So we'll just have to see how that goes, depending on who else it is that we're able to pick up here over the next couple of days, potentially. I've got one friend, actually, his Facebook, or rather his YouTube account has been blocked now from streaming any live shows. It's a bit of a long story, really, but he really did get, the way that YouTube, and we refer to these outlets, these basically as this is the Kraken that we're having to deal with here, Facebook and YouTube. This is all part of what Pirate Radio Podcast refers to in regards to the Kraken. So even Google, of course, too. Unfortunately, that's just the way they have got things set up with their heavy-handed censorship approach and so on and so forth. So yeah, but he might be running a show through Twitch. But yeah, you can easily find us. Just a quick web search, Pirate Radio Podcasts, on YouTube, or is probably the best way of doing it. We've also got Bathtub Jen, who a lot of Minds users will be familiar with. I think, Tim, even you yourself, you had her on your show at one point. Did you not?
She was, actually, to be ironic, she was on the podcast last night with me. So.
Well, that's great. I haven't now. I'm looking forward to hearing that. In fact, I've got this habit where I actually when I go to sleep, I like to listen to just different shows that I've got archived here, so that if I can get my hands on that before I call it a night here, that'd be great. I'm not sure if we can have that in place or not. But we've got other podcasters as well, yourself. We got Johnny Webb, who was tied into a lot of great networks online. He's quite capable of helping people out if they need technical assistance. We've got potentially Mary Carmel, who is she's recently joined mine. She's a Boston-based journalist, so we're just trying to get her up and running so that she can put a show together for a couple hours each day. And we have DJ Hato at this point. It looks like too. He is a former DJ out of the Netherlands, so that's great. We're really trying to cover all various time zones around the globe. Unfortunately, what we're looking for right now is anyone who's able to reach out and has contacts in Africa or the Middle East, and work on bringing those people on board if they are set up to help produce and present a podcast. That'd be most appreciated, and we could definitely they'd be a welcome addition to the operation.
Perfect. Well, let's hopefully the conversations like this can kind of reach out into that area. Now, this has to be kind of put into consideration. Most people, particularly in my part of the world and the Western world, are maybe have an understanding of of a secret Santa, especially this time of year. And it used to be in offices where people will put some money in, and you pick a name and you pick the person for it. So people have had an understanding of this concept. But how are you tackling putting this into a kind of almost, and for want of a better word, into a decentralized manner where it's not just one part of the world? How do you sort of foresee this going? And I think the supplementary question to that is, do you have any limits, or how can people get involved by putting, say, money involved? I mean, if someone wants to come along and put some money in, how can they get involved in that level? And because I mentioned this, spreading it out, because obviously when you're in an office, you may know the people around you, but there may be people listening to this or people involved in this who maybe they live in, I don't know, say Scotland, but they know somebody stuck in Malaysia that needs a boiler putting in. So how have you sort of tackled that difficulty, really, of trying to do a secret Santa across the whole world?
Well, this is the second year we've worked on putting this together. Last year, it all came together quite organically, and we were working off the blab.im platform. Unfortunately, we had the plug pulled on us there just after a couple days. We've had a little more, and that's quite the story as well too. I've got a blog that I put together that maybe we can share in the show notes that people can look over if they like. Goes into a few more details there. It's kind of a tragic comedy. It's I guess is the best way that I've managed to be able to look at things. But it's $1,000 price value limit is what we've got things capped at. Secret Santa, the sponsors, if they want to pitch in for more than that, that's entirely up to their discretion. Now, so that's answering your second question first. Now, the first question, I believe, was how to accommodate and put into place and actually activate this decentralized approach. Because, yeah, you're right, there is no central command center. It's just basically people taking the formula, working with it, and having it just basically optimized. So we're putting the elves together is one of the things, and we're working behind the scenes with the elves, who are essentially their operators. Our operators are standing by. So they're basically, we'd like to have them set up in appear.in. We have a number of rooms already in place all across the world, in London, Boston, Baja, Mexico, there with Pirate Larry. Boston, Mary Carmel's going to be helping to oversee that. She's working on putting a small team together of elves, and in Johnny Webb, of course, in London. So hopefully we can get you maybe set up in Glasgow too. That would be great. But what the deal is there is that we've got people in need on the one side of of things. And then on the other end of the equation, we have the Secret Santas stepping forward. The elves are going to be collecting the people who are looking for some help. And we don't like to we don't like to refer to these things as handouts, but rather hand ups. So, but they're going to be collecting the information, the 5 Ws, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, just with the case details, the specifics on each of the whether it's a family or just a particular individual, and what they're looking for, whether it's clothes or some food, maybe, or as you suggested there, referred to like a hot water tank or a boiler blows out. We could if the focus, I guess, the best way of resolving that, and it's all very ad hoc, of course, too, and improvised. So we're very open to that, So in that sense, I guess, kind of like I like to say open sourced myself, but just kind of whatever works to get the job done. Send an electrician, someone that's willing to, or a plumber, or what have you, or a car mechanic if their vehicle breaks down, just to put in 1 or 2 hours of volunteer time to help get these people back up on their feet and to get them their whatever it is that they need, up and running, so that they can just kind of stabilize themselves a little more and help them through the Christmas season.
Okay, perfect. Well, just on the point of how people can maybe donate resources,
Yeah.
this is the kind of one I really wanted to focus on. For instance, I mean, the people I know and stuff like that, have you got the opportunity to donate with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, we're totally open to that if that'll work. We're not sure how many people on the receiving end are actually set up in that sort of manner. That's yet to be seen. It all just depends. We got to just take things on a case to case basis, and if that's going to work out, then the elves can help facilitate that. And really, all we're doing once again is just matchmaking. So we, just to be clear here, the middle men and women, the elves, uh, in basically, who are working out of the appear.in rooms and platform. We're not taking anything. This is strictly just
Hmm.
pure charity and volunteer work. But yeah, PayPal, that's another way of doing it, of course, or direct a bank account payment, or as was mentioned earlier, just directly dropping materials off at people's front doors. Last year we did have a couple of success stories before we had the plug pulled on the operation there. And I should add too, just to be clear, the reason behind that, just in case people are wondering, is the official reason that was given. Well, what happened was I was promoting Operation Secret Santa, and this is all over the course of just a few days. Once again, last year, it all was very spontaneous and organic. We didn't quite have the time that we did this year. This year, we got more of a jump, kind of a head start on things. So that's why we're, I think, better poised here to really manage a few more success stories. But I walked into a den of lions. Basically, it was the room was booked as the theme was ho ho ho's comedy. So I went in there promoting Secret Santa. It was the time of year. It was around, I don't know, December 22nd maybe, or 23rd, just right in the lead up to Christmas. And I'd been doing this for a while in the Blab platform. But what I found was I'd walked into a room of radical Muslims, and it just took me a couple minutes for this to dawn on me. They gave me a seat so that I was able to actually speak and converse with them, and just wasn't texting. They let me pull up a seat, and we had this bit of a discussion, which really wasn't much of one, because it wasn't too long into things where I was just being yelled at quite profusely. It was really quite a horror show. Really, I was in a lot of shock, but I tried to just take a sort of lighthearted approach to things and let them have their say. One of the questions though I had for them, though, was with respect to Christmas, and how, of course, and this isn't the way everyone celebrates Christmas, but the birth of Christ, of course, and baby Jesus, that whole business. There is the pagan approach too, and the more esoteric um, story. That's an important angle as well. And we're going to be discussing it all, including Rudolph and Santa and you name it. Anything to do with Christmas culture or history, we're open to it. So if people want to come on board and share their Christmas stories and celebrate in any manner they choose, they're more than welcome. Just to make that clear. But going back to this one story here with these radical Islamic, I guess, Sharia type vipers. It was just, yeah, it was pretty awful, and I drew to their attention how once again Christ was, he is apparently the second highest ranking prophet in their religious tradition next to Muhammad, and I just was curious why it is like, do they celebrate Christmas or not? And basically, the feedback I got from them, the response was no, and it's not in the Quran, and therefore we don't care. And what you're saying is just a load of garbage. And I don't know if they didn't say get the hell out of here, though. That's the thing is that they just kept just launching these verbal assaults and attacks, and I was just quite shocked by it all. Unfortunately, I didn't have a recording system or software set up at that point. I did have a little handheld digital recorder on the other side of the room, but I was just so blown away by this bizarre scenario that I didn't even bother to go pick that up. So, but Blab was a weird place. I was being kind of staked out and stalked right from the moment I kind of walked through the door there. So that was unfortunate. They've now gone under, which is kind of interesting, kind of a bit of a, I would say, fitting karma or end to things. The way that they've ran their operation over there, the customer service was terrible. I launched an appeal saying, "Hey, come on, like this is ridiculous. Like, what's going on here, and why did this have to happen?" And it was just like dead, total, like talking to a brick wall. So, but now I'm not sure what your original question was. I think that's enough just to clarify what what the story was there. I'll share the blog with if people are interested in reading it. There, I put a little bit of a story together there, a report on things from last year that they can easily access. So, did I address
No,
what you had?
that was
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, you answered the
Okay.
question. You answered the question, which was basically around about how people can get involved in resources, and to spread that out again. And this is one of the things that, particularly this time of year, and particularly the culture I live in, everything's always the focus is about how much money and all this kind of stuff. But I think one of the elements of how anyone may feel about Christmas, I want to sort of throw this across to you. What about people just giving time? What about people just saying, look, hey, I know someone, they don't require a boiler or they're not in any financial trouble, but hey, they've lost a partner this year or their brother died this year and they just want someone to go around and sit and just talk to them at this time of year because it's very hard for people. I know I've had friends who passed this year from suicide and it's going to be very difficult, I know, because it's this time of year you start to remember all the times you had in the great times. So is this another one that's off? So if someone got involved in Operation Secret Santa and said, hey, look, I haven't got any resources, but I'm willing to give some time and I know somebody over there who requires time. Is this something you can branch into, or is it solely just on financial and actual practical, physical, differences people can make?
No, you're totally right there. That's what we're trying to emphasize. Ad hoc, improvised, open source, anything goes. It's precisely that. If you're able to provide comfort, some charitable act of kindness or goodness, the world is filled with enough suffering and wickedness rest of the year that we feel that we can set aside like a week or two. I think historically with the pagan tradition it was referred to as Yule. We'd like to learn more about this. I'm not really too up to speed on the whole thing, but I'm fascinated because I just was not raised in that environment and have not looked into it too much myself. But we'd love to have someone from that tradition that could speak to the history of Yule and what it essentially stood for. But yeah, you're bang on. You're exactly on the mark there, and that's another example. It doesn't have to be cash donations, or even if you can't manage to supply like food stuffs or clothing or anything like that, that's not a problem. Barter. Now here's an interesting issue. Here's an interesting point some people might want to remember and take into consideration. A lot of people are kind of they're proud and they don't want to accept handouts or just kind of freebies, free donations. So we proposed is we can, if there's a barter deal that people can work out on a one-to-one basis, that's by all means fly at it, so if someone goes in there, let's say, and tunes up their vehicle and gets it running, the person on the or family on the receiving end can maybe work on putting a dinner together for them, providing something like that, or a nice lunch, or another example that I came up with the other day, just for as an idea, was if they're like a musician could songs, or something along those lines, so maybe someone needs a bus ticket to somewhere, and they hear about Operation Secret Santa. We could we could have someone step up to the plate and come through on from that angle. Now, one of the other kind of related issues people should consider and think about too is that as Secret Santas, want to be on guard, of course, because when they choose their select their a case file, whoever it is that they feel is in need and deserving some help in some fashion, they're going to be kind of want to really be sure that it's not some kind of con job, in the sense of money or just material goods or what have you, supplying them to someone who's maybe like a bit of a fraudster. So we're totally hands off when it comes to these transactions. Once again, it's the two. We can suggest or recommend a way of facilitating the transaction, but outside of that, we have really nothing to do with the final decision. That's between the two consenting parties themselves. How anonymous each wants to remain is another matter. We're not going to be mentioning, if we can help it, like people's names on over the course of our 10-day the broadcasts that we put together over the course of the 10 days. But we will provide details, of course, and basic location and just kind of particulars of what occurred and so forth. So, and last year, let's just, so people do know, we did have success stories that we managed to achieve just in a short time, just in a couple of days that we had things up and running there on Blab. We had one sponsor come through that offered and put forward $500 to help out an orphanage in Africa. There was $500 worth of shoes that were purchased. We got pictures back from our Christian minister friend there in Africa with the kids and smiling faces and boxes full of shoes, and seemed to have had a pretty great time, and that was much appreciated. We also, as I recall, another one of the success stories that took place was a single mother with 3 kids. They were all sick and struggling with their health. They had a washer and dryer set delivered directly to their door, and she was really happy about that, because their washer and dryer had was no longer functioning. So that really helped them out, so that they managed to have clean clothes on a more regular basis. So yeah, if really the focus and the end goal here, what we're hoping to do is just to surpass the successes that we last year. If we can do that, and if we can build upon what we managed to accomplish, last time around, the first time that this all kind of came together very organically and just kind of from out of the ether, almost, to tell you the truth, that if we can manage that, we'll definitely consider that a great success.
Exactly, and I think one of the benefits of anything of this, and this to me is basically of the essence of what life is about. It's one human being reaching out to another human being and reaching out to another human being. That's very strong. And what I'm trying to say is, I would imagine one of the benefits of this has been, and one of the ongoing movements of this has been the I'd imagine the continued connections. I mean, it's one of the things I personally, I just want to throw my two pennies worth in this. I mean, it's one of the things that I find frustrating about this time of year. You see everywhere, and all the the adverts, and everybody's almost into a jolly sort of thing, and everybody wants to help out the homeless, and then in come January it's all forgotten. And that's one of the things that's always annoyed me all my life. Has annoyed me. Everyone gets this kind of Christmassy thing, and then come middle of January there's still people on the streets, still people in dire situations, and everyone's forgotten about it and they're onto their own lives. So one of the things I'll imagine, and maybe you can speak upon it, is you mentioned some of the great results from last year. Has this resulted in ongoing relationships, and hasn't just finished at Christmas, or have you found that people are just okay, it's Christmas and that's it and done? I mean, how have you found that experience from last year?
Well, I haven't myself been in touch with the blab. The whole, like I said, the whole blab thing pretty much just fell apart, and I basically found myself moving on and seeking out other outlets. Thankfully, um, uh, Minds came along. Now I think there was the scene.is, that social media platform. I'm not sure if you heard about that or recall or whatnot, but that didn't quite build up to the point that some people had hoped, at least. And then we, with a few friends and myself, we transitioned over to Informed Planet, which once again, proprietorial based code. I guess the coding, the way that things were running there, just it was more like a cult-like kind of operation, all about the cult of personality. So we didn't want to. It didn't last too long around there, and finally found a good match and a good fit with mine. So we're really hoping that the third time round is a charm. And no, as far as making connections and really community building and putting a network together, Minds is proving the best so far by a long shot, by a huge margin. So I feel I've made some really good friends personally, and I enjoy, one of the things that I do enjoy is connecting people. When I do feel that that certain people will be able to get along with others, I'm more than happy to to hook them up, essentially get them in touch with one another, and just kind of like in a synergy sort of manner, and just sort of see where it all leads. That's one of the functions that Facebook actually has, which I do like. As much as Facebook really sucks, that the one of the features it does have is suggest a friend. So, which is really, I think, I'm always using that, to help encourage people, to network and get in touch with one another and just build a stronger community online. So, but no, out of the blab.im platform, it basically just all kind of dissolved, and they've gone under now. As I said, they're offline. I've heard just the other day there's a rumor of them maybe coming back in some upgraded fashion. But I tell you, man, if the customer service there and the way they responded to like the appeals department and so forth, and the moderators that they had there, oh my God, I was literally being stalked by this one moderator in particular. You know how it is when some people get on these power trips, which is one of the things I like about Minds is that there are no real moderators per se. It's totally free speech, anti censorship. You'll find that in the groups, I suppose, with the admins, but that's as far as it goes. Blab.im, these people were just all over the place and really trying to throw their weight around. So, but I was being attacked and kind of essentially mocked, almost from the get-go, by this one guy, and he ultimately was the fellow who popped into that radical Muslim, the Shia, I'm sorry, Sharia uh, room where they were launching their jihad against the anti-infidel. So he, yeah, he just happened to magically pop in there, and I do believe had a very direct hand in having me kicked off that network, unfortunately. So, but no, Minds has been great. I mean, compared to all these other platforms, even I mean, Facebook is, it's but Minds, I mean, is just amazing, definitely. So we've got the group together there. You may have, I think you've seen it. You've joined it, in fact, I think recently. Secret Santa 2016, and we've got like 35, maybe almost 40 people now, I believe. Over on Facebook, we've got around 34 people, so it's kind of almost as many. We got the event there put together on Facebook. We've and the Discord app too. Let's not forget, for people out there listening that have heard of the Discord app, uh, maybe drop by there and let's see if we can hook up. And there's we do have a, I'm not sure, I'm a bit of a newbie over there, so I think it's like it's a room of some sort or a channel. Not sure which is, it's how you refer to it exactly, but we do have a Operation Secret Santa hashtag OSS. We have something like, we, this place where people can gather and meet. We've got that in place over there. So DJ Hato, our fellow, our man, our contact there, the DJ out of the Netherlands, is he's a regular. You can find him over there easily enough. Myself and a few others as well.
So, I mean, just on a general point, my friend, where did this all, why did you start all this? I mean, what was the inspiration for the whole of this, I mean, you said this is the second year of it. What was the inspiration for the idea in the first place?
Well, as I was kind of had alluded to earlier, it just seemed to all just organically occur, manifest, just out of the ether, and basically found it dropped, squarely onto my lap. People have creative visions, and it happens sometimes that I have myself, I can operate in that fashion, and from the standpoint of a creative visionary. So, uh, basically, that's a large part of it there, and so just take the ball and run with it, right? And what you can manage ultimately. So, we're just looking forward to, like I said, building on the successes that we managed to achieve last year, and who knows, it could become something quite special over time. But an earlier point that you did make, and this is important for people to keep in mind. So many people, because they kind of don't quite get it, in the sense that they hear Secret Santa. What we are is Operation,
Mm-hmm.
which is different from Secret Santa. Although really what we're doing is we're taking that term, that kind of little catchphrase there, Secret Santa, and we're upgrading it. We're saying, no, we could do a better job with this and put it to more positive, more effective ends, where it's more all inclusive, not just people who already have jobs, let's say, and are working together in their offices or cubicles or what have you, and put their names in the hat and do the gift exchange that way. No, we're broadening this and expanding and taking it so that it can be like, it's essentially potentially a worldwide endeavor, rather than so just narrowly focused as the way that whoever it was that originated that custom, how whatever it was that they had in mind when they launched that way. I'm not sure even how far back that goes. Maybe what, 20, 30 years, maybe. Just kind of
Well,
ballparking
that
things
that's
there.
that's interesting you say that, because I'm a bit like you. I lived abroad for many years, and I remember coming back, and this is no longer than 10 years ago, and it was like, what, where's all this come from? I'd never heard of Secret Santa before. So over this part of the world is even more modern than that. So but I think, alluding to one of the things I wanted to speak upon, hey, who knows the future, but I can see this, you're saying progressing forward in time. It's only going to get easier and easier and easier, because I mean, like you said, right now people can, got the option of PayPal and all this sort of, but like I say, I mean, there's going to come a point we want to put on that scale, that decentralization of currency is going to happen. And this is going to become a lot easier. The idea of connecting and doing this all very easy is going to be, X amount of time, one of the almost as easy as doing this conversation, and it would be so wide scale. And that's where I think you're onto it. I don't know. I'm not aware of anything else that's even attempted to do what you're doing right now. So I think it's a truly inspiring vision, and I think it will, like I said, with anything else, for this vision to work, because it's not centralized, it needs people to get involved, and that's hopefully what these conversations can do, and hopefully it can spread from there. Because, like you said, the way the power of this is the fact that it's not centrally controlled, it's completely peer to peer, and it's done on a very, for want of a better word, as you said, the hoc basis, which is, it's truly inspiring. But as I said, I think going forward it's going to become a lot easier. But right now we have got these clunky tools. But hey, it's very inspiring to see this into your second year, and it's a step-by-step process as I see it.
Yeah, people, you are Operation Secret Santa. Mary Carmel in Boston, she is Operation Secret Santa. Johnny in London, he is Operation Secret Santa. Larry down in Baja, same goes for him. Same goes for me. We're each our own Secret Santa node, and the thing to focus on here is to work on putting a team of elves together. That's probably the first priority and most important thing. I know time's running short here. We've been working on doing this over the last, oh gosh, I think we've had like the last 10 days in particular really been things up and get the word out. So now it's up to people such as yourself to to do that, to take the ball and run with it, get the bullhorn there, and shout it from the mountaintops, and have make the message known loudly and as loudly and clearly as possible. So but yeah, the elves are the most important, the people that can kind of man, or I'll say man the fort, and excuse me if that sounds too sexist, ladies, but let's just stick with that for now. Hold down the fort. We'll keep the gender pronouns out of the picture for now. Just hold down the fort, and basically keep an eye on the appear.in rooms. Share those links around, the appear links, share them around. Get on board with the Minds group. Come join us over on Facebook if you still have an account over there. Things like that. Sign up with the Discord app. Just try to get involved on any of these platforms that you can, from any angle. And you know what? Like you were saying earlier, even if you just have time, just help to spread the word, folks. That's all you got to do. It doesn't cost you. It doesn't cost you anything. Not from a monetary standpoint. You don't have to be giving people donations per se. Not or anything like that. But here's another thing too. We talked to a guy recently. His name is Steve, out of Michigan, and he recently. This is all about pledges, challenges, and pledges. This is a really important point too, if people are taking notes. Challenges and pledges. So we challenged. I got two challenges actually to share with folks. Steve out of Michigan, he just recently picked up. It's a hobby that he's doing now. It's baking, and so a little light bulb went off in my head when I heard him talk about this. I said, "Hey, why don't you put together half a dozen," I challenged them, half a dozen loaves of bread, and take them down to your local homeless shelter, or just hand them out to to some of the people that you have living on the street there in your local area. So there you go. I mean, it's not that difficult, I don't think. And we're hoping that he's going to ultimately do like that together. But that's the sort of thing that people can do easily enough. Another one, Mary Carmel, she's a music teacher as well as a journalist, but she's offered. I challenged her as well, and she said she's up for the challenge. She's going to donate 5 hours of her time, 1 hour. What is it? 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week of music lessons via Skype. and that's either for guitar or piano theory. It's kind of intermediate, upper level in some ways. I think having to do with composition and chord changes and chord structure and so forth. So, and I think it has to do more with just playing by ear rather than necessarily reading music. So, but anyways, if there's someone out there that this isn't necessarily someone that's she's going to choose if there's multiple candidates that are interested in basically on her offer, that she'll ultimately just have to choose which case file that she's interested in, who she's actually interested in helping out, or who seems to be in the greatest need. So, but let's see now. There's also these pledges. We had an anonymous pledge. That's another great thing for people to know about. There's an anonymous pledge that came through via Minds just a couple weeks ago, and it was for $100. So I was contacted, and they told me, hey, look, I'm good for $100. If just to let you know, if you got anyone out there that's benefit from that cash donation. And there was one of our former guests. She's a witch, actually, the lady, pagan witch lady that we interviewed in our with our Halloween episode, and Teresa M. Clayton, and she said that she would match that pledge. A lot of people have seen telethons, so it does have that sort of element. We're also looking for, with regard to challenges and pledges and whatnot, and matching these challenges and pledges. But we've also got we're looking for more podcasters too, Tim. So I mean, if you're tied into any other people there within the podcasting community, and people that have their shows online, they're able to stream and so forth, that's great. Entertainers, comedians, speakers, the whole thing. But the bottom line really is, what we ask, that when they do produce and put together the content for the shows, that they think mostly and try to focus on Christmas type content, whether it's from the Christian standpoint, whether it's from the secular standpoint or pagan perspective, or what have you, Santa, Rudolph, anything to do with the history or culture in any manner. So just, that's just basically what we ask. Because even us, the pirates from the Pirate Radio podcast, we're going to really work hard on putting the politics aside for a few days here over the course of the event, and not only that, but basically try to keep it clean too. We do drop a few F-bombs from time to time. The pirate ship, things can get a little salty, the language, a little profane. So we're gonna try. We're gonna try to run it as a family affair, basically, and kind of more or less like kid friendly. So just a few things for people to keep in mind.
Perfect. So you've spoken there to the fact of people who are creating content and stuff like this, and so again, it sort of relates back to this. To the beginning of the conversation, really. So if people want to get involved, it's best going to check out your buy and stuff like that. So on the 10 days, is it going to be a case of people just, when you talk about handing over and stuff like this, so is it just going to be you hope your aim is just to get 10 days of constant streaming from podcast to podcast to podcast, so all over, as I said, because there's many platforms. So is it just you're just trying to spread this out, I take it, and just and hand it across? But the best place for people to get involved, really, is what I wanted to focus on, was probably your Minds and your Facebook are the really two areas that people get involved, is to sort of head towards.
Yeah, we've got a YouTube channel as well. People can just type in Pirate Radio Podcasts, and that'll come up. We can share all these links with you in your show notes too, of course, so that they can be easily accessed that way as well. We have Twitter presence, and we try to Google Plus and whatnot. But yeah, I think Facebook for now. Facebook Minds, a lot of our listeners, a lot of our followers, people that are fans of the show and the work that we do, are out of Minds. It's funny how we don't really seem to have too many followers or people that really support us over on Facebook. Although there's a few, I shouldn't say that really, but there's a few. It's just, once again, just whatever works, whatever, however, you think you can be with us, or even if they can get in touch with you, that works. Or if they can get in touch with any of these other people, Mary or Johnny Webb there down in London, or Pirate Larry down in Baja. I mean, just once again, that's the decentralized thing, and contact them, and they can collaborate. It's because that's once again, it's very collaborative, and make some real Christmas magic happen.
Exactly, and I think that the thing I wanted to really focus on, and I think you spoke on about it very eloquently, is that anybody can get involved, and whether you've got 2 minutes to give or you've got a day to give, whatever it may be. And some people, as you know, some people like going and putting their faces in public. Some people don't like doing anything at all. Some people have time. Other people don't have very much time. But the very inspiring thing, what I like about what you're trying to say and you're pushing across, is that anybody can get involved, whether they've got whatever their abilities, whatever the method, you can just get involved, because it's one of the things that you were mentioning now. I mean, it's everybody for everyone, because not everybody wants to step up and be a content, in front of a screen. Not everybody's up for dressing up as an elf and doing that stuff. Not everybody's up for going out and actually doing practical stuff. But people can get involved, and I think my call on this would be that just by spreading the word to people, and that's what I'd hope that this conversation does, and it's just by getting this word out and spreading this, because that is the element of anything that's completely decentralized, is it does come from peer to peer. It's I speak only from what I'd imagine I understand, but you're not blessed with £100 million budget where you can go out and get adverts on the Super Bowl. So we're doing this we are fighting this from a very small perspective. So that's why I say I think it's very inspiring and open it up to anybody and everyone, because as you're aware, and as I'm aware, every human mind that's getting involved, that's a very powerful trying to achieve. Sometimes it's the connection of people, and as I said, the ongoing relationships that form from that is to me the heart of what this is all about. Because it's, as I said before, it's all about having the Santa thing and this cheer at Christmas, but the great thing about having a decentralized way and the way you're doing it is, hopefully, as I said, these relationships are built and they're carried on. So it's not just a Christmas thing, because that to me would be a step forward from maybe the current paradigm we live in, where everything is centralized and almost kind of in a tick box. So as I said, I think it's really inspiring that anybody can get involved, and hopefully we give them clear enough places for people to get involved. I'm going to wrap this up with, and I suggested this last night, and I'm going to play out with your latest little one you put out on YouTube, which gives a kind of audio overview of it all. But just before we do, sort of, thank you for giving me your time today. I know we kind of, this is very, again, on the basis of a kind of ad hoc one we kind of scratched together last night, and I'll definitely want to get you back onto another back on here again, because as we know, there's many areas that we could talk about. And I wanted to focus solely on the Santa thing today. So, before I do finish this off, maybe like I said, thank you very much for your time, and maybe just give me a parting message to anyone that's listening about what you'd want to sort of them to walk away and to sort of remember about this conversation.
Oh gosh, well, what you're saying just earlier regarding it is a very grassroots enterprise, basically. We're not being funded by any public or private multinational organizations or corporations. It's a people driven project, just reaching out. A lot of these folks too that we're connecting and networking with here, they really don't have a whole heck of a lot themselves, believe it or not. Some people have a little bit and they're able to offer what it is that they have, but it's amazing the charity and the kindness and the spirit of giving that does reside and exist within people who are often of minimal means. And for me, it really helps to restore my faith in humanity, these sort of things. There's been times over the course of my life when I've looked out into the world, watched the news, although we haven't been, our television's been turned off here for the last 5 years. Things get pretty depressing after a while, and kind of selective where I go to on the internet as well. But yeah, just it really helps to see these sort of acts of kindness. For me, it does help to restore my faith in humanity, that there is this goodness that does reside and exist, and it's important that we do make the most of this short period, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks at the most altogether, to practice this the charity. So because there's enough, the rest of the year there's enough negativity that seems to seems to be everywhere, all in front of us, and constantly we're being bombarded with. So, but yeah, I just like to thank you for having me on the show tonight, Tim. It's been a real pleasure, and hope that we can work together here over the coming days and weeks, and help to work together in helping to make the Operation Secret Santa a success.
Your part in helping out those in need. You might want to consider getting involved on some level with Operation Secret Santa. Here's a quick overview. Formally kicking off on December 15th, Operation Secret Santa, that's hashtag OSS, is a world grassroots, strictly people-driven, Christmas charity, telethon-styled internet campaign. Referral marketing, or what's otherwise known as word of mouth, drives the project's big red sleigh, with all money, donations, and the like going directly to the needy who are selectively sponsored. The four main categories of participants we're looking for include: 1. Live streaming web show hosts, speakers, producers, and performers. 2. Operator matchmaking elves, making their lists and checking them twice. 3. Secret Santa sponsors. And 4. People in any place around the world living in need, worthy of a little Christmas hand up. This year's organizers are presently working on mobilizing and building upon last year's preliminary success, with donation levels capped at a suggested price value limit of $1,000. If you have any further questions, be sure to drop by WPRPN.com or check out our groups on both Facebook and Minds.com via a keyword search of simply Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS.
Merry Christmas, everybody!